I have never been one to believe in ghosts or the supernatural, but that night at the isolated cabin, nestled deep within the woods, changed everything. The forest had an eerie quietness to it, the silence broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the rustling of leaves underfoot. The cabin itself was a relic from another era, its wooden exterior weathered and worn. Inside, the air held a musty smell, like old books and forgotten memories. I brought along some supplies: food, water, a flashlight, expecting a peaceful retreat away from the city's noise. As night fell, I started a fire in the stone fireplace, the flickering flames casting long shadows on the walls. The warmth should have been comforting, but instead it felt intrusive, as if someone were watching me through the window panes, their face obscured by the darkness outside. That's when I heard it for the first time, a soft tapping against the side of the cabin. It was rhythmic, almost melodic, yet there was something unnerving about it. My initial thought was that it might be a tree branch rubbing against the wall in the wind, but the pattern didn't match any natural occurrence. Unable to ignore it, I mustered the courage to venture outside. The moment I stepped onto the porch, the tapping stopped. Silence enveloped me, thick and heavy. I scanned the surroundings, half expecting to see something lurking in the shadows. Nothing. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Back inside, I tried to rationalize what had happened. A small animal, perhaps. Or maybe my mind was playing tricks on me due to the isolation. Either way, sleep didn't come easily that night. Every creak of the cabin made me jump. Every rustle outside made my heart race. The second unnerving moment came with the dawn. As I opened the curtains, a patch of blood-red snow caught my eye. It was near the edge of the clearing, stark against the white canvas of freshly fallen snow. No footprints led to or from it, just this singular spot of crimson. I told myself it must be from a wounded animal, yet deep down, I knew no creature would bleed such a vibrant hue. Yet, denying the irrationality of it all, I attempted to continue my stay, pushing aside the growing unease. Later that day, while exploring the surrounding woods, I stumbled upon an old, moss-covered gravestone, hidden among the trees. It was so overgrown with vegetation that I could barely make out the engraving. R.I.P. Emily 1875-1892. The date seemed too recent for such a primitive stone, adding another layer of mystery to this strange place. Retracing my steps back to the cabin, I noticed the third, unnerving moment. A single candle sat burning in the window, its flame dancing merrily despite there being no wind. I had not lit any candles before leaving, nor did I own one that could stand upright without support. My initial reaction was disbelief, followed by fear. Every fiber of my being screamed to leave, yet I felt rooted to the spot, unable to move. The cabin seemed different now, no longer a refuge but a cage. Even the trees seemed closer, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers threatening to snatch me up. Night fell again, this time bringing with it a storm. Rain pounded against the roof, drowning out any other sounds. Huddled by the fire, I tried to find solace in its warmth, but comfort eluded me. All I could think about was the blood-red snow, the lonely gravestone, and the unexplained candle. As the storm raged on, so did my internal turmoil. Every flash of lightning illuminated the room, casting long, monstrous shadows. And with each clap of thunder, I felt the walls closing in, trapping me in this nightmare. The relentless storm outside began to subside, giving way to a steady drizzle. My nerves, however, remained as taut as the strings of a violin. The cabin seemed to breathe with me, its wooden skeleton creaking and groaning in response to my every movement. Another, unnerving moment came when I decided to use the outhouse, a relic from the same era as the cabin. As I stepped outside, clutching a lantern for illumination, I noticed tiny points of light flickering among the trees. Fireflies, I thought. But these danced in an unnatural pattern, too synchronized to be random. They seemed to follow my progress towards the outhouse and back, their eerie glow illuminating the path like a string of party lights, leading to some macabre celebration. Inside the cabin once more, I tried to shake off the creeping sense of unease. I told myself it was just the isolation playing tricks on my mind, yet the feeling persisted. Every rustle of leaves outside, every drop of water from the eaves, fed my growing dread. As I sat huddled by the fire, I noticed something peculiar about the flames. They danced in a rhythm that mirrored the tapping from the first night. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but once noticed it couldn't be unseen. The fire seemed to whisper a melody, one that echoed the soft tapping against the cabin wall. My gaze shifted to the window where the candle still burned. Its flame flickered in time with the rhythm of the flames in the fireplace, adding another layer to this disconcerting symphony. I found myself drawn to the window, staring at the solitary flame as if it held the answers to all my questions. The rain had stopped now, leaving behind a world washed clean. Yet, despite the clearing skies, the woods felt darker, more foreboding. The trees seemed to lean inwards, their branches forming a tangled web that threatened to ensnare me. Even the animals were silent, their absence more profound than their presence. As I watched the candle burn, I realized with a start that it was drawing closer to the edge of the windowsill. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, it inched its way towards the edge, yet no wax dripped down the side, no smoke rose from the wick. It was as if the flame was alive, willfully moving towards some unknown destination. I reached out to touch the flame, half expecting it to recoil or vanish like a mirage. Instead, it welcomed my touch, its warmth surprisingly comforting. But as soon as I withdrew my finger, the candle resumed its slow march towards the edge of the sill. The fourth unnerving moment came when I decided to extinguish the candle. As I blew out the flame, it didn't flicker or fade as expected. Instead, it transformed into a small glowing orb that hovered just above the windowsill. It pulsed with an otherworldly light, casting long shadows that danced across the room. Unsure of what to do, I watched as the orb moved towards the fireplace. There, it merged with the flames, infusing them with a vibrant energy. The fire roared to life, its heat intensifying until it was almost unbearable. The room filled with an ethereal glow, the very air around me humming with anticipation. I felt a pull then, a magnetic force drawing me towards the fireplace. I resisted at first, fearing what might happen if I succumbed to this strange influence. But as the pull grew stronger, I found myself unable to resist. I approached the fireplace, my heart pounding in my chest, every instinct screaming for me to run. But I didn't run. Instead, I stood before the roaring fire, feeling its heat wash over me like a wave. The flames danced in time with my racing heart, their rhythm echoed by the soft tapping against the cabin wall. And there, amidst the flickering shadows and pulsing light, I waited for whatever fate had in store for me. The glow from the fireplace cast an eerie light across the room, illuminating my face in a mix of orange and shadow. My heart pounded against my chest as if trying to break free, yet some strange fascination kept me rooted to the spot. Suddenly, the tapping against the cabin wall synchronized with my racing heartbeat. 3 rapid beats followed by a pause, then repeated. A chill ran down my spine despite the heat of the fire. This wasn't just a coincidence anymore. It felt like a communication, a response to my presence. A 5th unnerving moment arrived as I noticed the gravestone I'd found earlier appearing in the corner of the room, seemingly materializing out of thin air. The candle, now nothing more than a flickering orb, hovered above it, casting a dim yet unsettling light. I wanted to scream, to run, but my body refused to obey. Instead, I watched as letters etched themselves onto the stone. Emily 1875 to 1892. But beneath this inscription, new words appeared, chilling me to the bone. You're next. My breath hitched in my throat. The air around me grew colder, heavier. An unseen force seemed to press down on me, making it hard to breathe. Fear consumed me, burning brighter than any flame. But amidst this terror, I realized something crucial. I was no longer alone here. The cabin, once a silent observer, had become an active participant in this haunting spectacle. Its walls seemed to close in, trapping me within this chilling tableau. Even the trees outside appeared darker, more menacing, their branches clawing at the sky as if yearning for the same ethereal energy that filled the cabin. Despite my fear, I couldn't tear my gaze away from the gravestone. The orb danced above it, its glow casting long shadows that twisted and turned like spectral figures in the dim light. It was then that I understood. This wasn't merely a haunting. It was an invitation. But to what? To join whatever spectral presence resided within these woods. Or perhaps to simply acknowledge the existence of forces beyond our understanding, entities bound by rules different from ours. I don't know how long I stood there, caught between fascination and terror. Eventually, dawn broke, bathing the cabin in soft morning light. The spectral gravestone and the orb vanished, leaving behind only the mundane reality of an old cabin in the woods. Yet, something had changed. Whether it was me or the cabin, I cannot say. Perhaps we'd both crossed some invisible threshold, sharing a moment of profound connection before returning to our respective worlds. One thing is certain, though. That night at the cabin left an indelible mark on me. While I still don't consider myself a believer in ghosts or the supernatural, I've come to accept that some things exist beyond our comprehension, beyond our neatly packaged definitions of reality. And so, whenever I find myself standing at the edge of the known, staring into the vast unknown, I remember that night in the cabin. And I wonder, what other wonders and terrors lie hidden in the shadows, waiting for their moment to step into the light?